So let's look at this quest for peace that the TPLF wants. In November, the TPLF were within striking distance of Addis Ababa. Just explain to us, why would you announce shortly thereafter that you plan on retreating back to Tigray and that you suddenly want peace after getting so close to the capital?
Yeah, you're right. We're so close to the capital, but we have to conduct an assessment on the current progress on the ground and broadly on the diplomatic front. So we felt that this conflict, better to resolve it in negotiation, in dialogue, before we even advance to it. And we felt that this conflict, from the very start, it was political. It should be resolved so politically.
I mean, it's interesting because I spoke to a TPLF advisor, Faseha Ashkedom, who said that the TPLF hadn't ruled out, this was in November, the TPLF had not ruled out at that time trying to topple the Ethiopian government. So it seems quite strange that there would be this about face in terms of the TPLF's intentions. Why the sudden change?
Well, as I said, one of the major factors was the diplomatic concerns. And starting from US, everyone was pushing us not to get into Addis. They say they have to withdraw from Afar, from Amhara, to address this conflict peacefully. The same with the Ethiopian government as well. So the call were coming from every corner, and were also, as I said, we haven't ruled out, toppling the government, but we have to work with the international community. We just cannot step in by ourselves.
But sir, when you look at the history of Ethiopia, the TPLF ruled Ethiopia for about a quarter of a century and waged two very, very bloody wars. Can you see why people in Ethiopia on the ground, some people might hear this and be somewhat skeptical?
Well, we know, the background of our political development in the country, and while we were governing as part of the coalition of PRDF. But yes, there are so many political issues that should be resolved, that need discussion, and that is one of our reasons why we should not push, because there are issues that we have to address, with the several political groups of Ethiopia, be it with the Oromos, the Somalis, and others. So although we have created a coalition, that is another factor. There are issues that we have to resolve, that are issues that we have to settle before we even topple government. So not only the military advancements that we have to consider, political understanding, because there are many issues that we have to settle.
Okay, so what do you need from outside mediators at this point?
We need, this cessation of hostilities to be formal. Then after, the humanitarian assistance has to be facilitated. Our people are dying because of lack of food, because of lack of medicine. So our people has to be supplied with the necessary assistance. At the same time, we have to work also on lifting the siege on power, siege on telecom, siege on every transport. There is no road transport, there is no air transport, there is no banking service. So the hurdle of our people also is, the suffering of our people has to be considered as well.
You need humanitarian assistance, you need the siege against Tigray to end. Once you do get eventually a ceasefire, what next for Tigray? Will you try to seek some kind of de facto independence for the region? I mean, given everything you've outlined, do you think that while Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is in power, will the Tigrayans ever be able to live in peace?
Well, that is a serious issue that should be discussed, and that should be settled with on negotiating table. So there are many issues politically that should be addressed. And we have called upon inclusive dialogue, and the international community also.
Are you saying that you will try to seek independence?
No, I'm saying we are looking for a negotiated settlement of all the political issues. Before going into it, we have to discuss on the cause of the conflict and the solutions. And it depends not upon us and upon us or with the federal government. All the political forces of Ethiopia has to sit down and discuss, and let's come out with resolution for how to move forward.
So the TPLF has a partnership, if you will, with the Oromo Liberation Army. Where do they stand in this quest for peace, in this quest for a ceasefire? Are they on board? Do they want the same thing? Will you have to sort of split from them and go your own way in terms of pushing the central government for a ceasefire?
You know, this political problem, although it appears it is between Tigray and the federal government, but this same problem, actually, it's about governance, you know, the fight. The real reason for the fight is a conflict between this unitary kind of government or imperial kind of government with multinational federalism. So all forces who believe on this federalism, on multinational federalism, are all together. They are fighting against the unitary government. So the Oromos, the Somalis, the others are the same bloc. So we have the same interests.